imagine standing before like an undeniable apocalyptic monster.
Right.
A creature that's just bent on the complete eradication of your home, your family, your entire civilization.
Yeah, total destruction.
Exactly. Now imagine the only weapon heavy enough to actually kill that monster is forged from the monster's own bones, like soaked in its own venom.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you pick it up? Do you wield the very corruption you were sworn to destroy just to survive? And I mean, if you do, when the dust settles and the monster is dead, how do you know you haven't simply taken its place?
That paradox is really the engine driving some of the most enduring tragedies in literature.
Absolutely.
I mean, it forces an examination of utilitarianism taken to its absolute cosmic limit.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the deep dive. We know you, the listener, the learner, are here because you thrive on these impossible questions, right?
Yeah, you want the heavy stuff.
You want to grapple with the architecture of a dark universe. You want the multiple perspectives, and you want to dig into the philosophical bedrock of a story without just reading a table of contents.
Right, exactly.
So our mission today is to chart the agonizing, psychological descent and the staggering ethical dilemmas presented in Dan Abnett's 2002 novel, Hereticus.
And to anchor this exploration, we really need to first establish the structural context of the universe we are examining.
Yeah, set the stage for us.
Right, because Hereticus does not exist in a vacuum. It is the capstone, the grand finale of the Eisenhorn trilogy.
Which is a huge deal.
It is, and the brilliance of the title itself lies in its institutional irony,
Oh, totally.
In this setting, the Ordo Hereticus is this highly specific, fanatically puritanical branch of the Inquisition.
Like the ultimate internal affairs apparatus, basically.
Exactly. Their sole mandate is to hunt down internal corruption, rogue psychers, and heresy within the human empire.
Which makes the title a massive indictment of the protagonist. I mean, the central question pulsating through every single chapter is whether Gregor Eisenhorn...
Right, an inquisitor who has literally spent a century burning heretics.
Yeah, whether he is fundamentally metamorphosed into the very sickness he was engineered to cure.
And the transition across the three novels is just meticulously documented.
It's so incremental.
It really is. We move from the rigid, unyielding Puritan of the first installment, Xenos, through the murky, kind of pragmatic compromises of the second, Malleus.
Right.
And then we arrive at the precipice of pure radicalism here in Hereticus. It is a study in how incremental deviations from a moral absolute inevitably compound into, total ideological inversion.
And we are going to see that inversion tested immediately. I mean, the narrative does not ease us in at all.
No, not even a little bit.
It throws Eisenhorn's new, battered moral compass right onto the anvil in the opening sequence on the world of Dur.
Yeah, Dur is intense.
Right. Eisenhorn is overseeing a court of examination, which, sounds formal, kind of bureaucratic.
But the tension in the room is just suffocating.
Exactly, because of who is standing over his shoulder.
Sebastian Vervoek.
Yeah.
He is a newly elevated inquisitor, and his presence is entirely antagonistic to Eisenhorn's current methodology.
Because he's like the old Eisenhorn.
Right. Perfectly said. Vervoek represents the unblemished, orthodox Puritanism that Eisenhorn himself utilized decades ago. So Vervoek isn't just assisting, he is shadowing.
Scrutinizing everything.
Yes, scrutinizing every decision, sensing the radiating taint of the compromises Eisenhorn has secretly made to survive this long.
And into that pressure cooker, the inciting incident drops like an absolute hammer. A lead surfaces regarding a man named Fade Thuring.
And Eisenhorn instantly detonates the formal proceedings to pursue him.
Yeah, he just drops everything. And we need to look at the historical weight of this decision, because Thuring isn't some new random threat.
No, this is deep.
This is the man who murdered Eisenhorn's close ally, Midas Behancourt, 80 years prior. 80 years.
Which is staggering.
I mean, carrying a targeted, localized grief for 8 decades requires a staggering capacity for compartmentalized rage.
It really does. But it also demonstrates a dangerous prioritization of personal vendetta over institutional duty.
That's true.
Because Eisenhorn coerces a highly reluctant Vervoek, and he enlists an Ordo Malleus inquisitor, Pulrasi, to track Thuring to this derelict listening post.
Right, on a frozen polar island.
Yeah, and they breach this facility expecting, a fugitive hiding out in the ice.
Instead, they walk into an absolute tactical nightmare. Thuring hasn't been hiding, he's been excavating.
He has unearthed and activated a functional Chaos Warlord Titan named Gregor Volt.
Okay, wait, we need to break down what a Titan actually is mechanically for the learner, because this isn't just like a big tank.
Oh no, a Warlord Titan is a bipedal war machine the size of a skyscraper.
It's massive.
It's armed with city-leveling weaponry. But what's fascinating here is that Gregor Volt is specifically a Chaos Titan.
Right, which changes everything.
Completely. This means it is not merely a mechanical construct. Its machine spirit, its very operating system, has been corrupted and fused with the warp.
And the warp is that parallel dimension of pure chaotic emotion and psychic energy in this universe.
Exactly. So the Titan is essentially a colossal, heavily armored psychic predator.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, small arms fire or conventional infantry tactics against it are mathematically meaningless.
So Eisenhorn is trapped in a frozen facility with a walking apocalypse. He has zero conventional military assets.
None.
This is where the desperate, horrifying stratagems begin. He turns to Elizabeth Bequin, a woman he deeply loves.
And Beckon possesses a genetic anomaly known as the pariah gene. She is a blank.
Let's explain the mechanics of that, because it is so crucial to understanding the sacrifice he's about to make.
Sure. So in this lore, most human souls cast a reflection in the psychic dimension of the warp. Psychers cast these brilliant, blinding lights.
Like flares in the dark.
Right. A blank, however, casts a negative void. They project an aura that actively smothers and nullifies psychic energy.
So demons and warp-infused entities find their mere presence physically agonizing.
Agonizing and mechanically disruptive, yeah.
So Eisenhorn's plan is to basically weaponize her biology. He channels Bequin's null power directly into the corrupted psychic mind of the Titan.
Which is an incredibly blunt, traumatic misapplication of her natural dampening field.
He uses her as an ideological EMP.
Exactly, and forcing a human mind to directly interface with and nullify the immense, raging warp engine of a warlord Titan, it guarantees catastrophic neurological feedback.
And the psychic backlash just instantly destroys her mind. Bequin is left completely brain dead.
It's heartbreaking.
Eisenhorn manages to put her physical body into stasis, frozen in time, biologically alive, but forever unreachable.
Right.
He stops the immediate threat of the Titan's mind, but I want to emphasize to you, the listener, the emotional devastation of this. It is an unbelievably hollow victory.
He sacrificed the core of his humanity, the woman who anchored him, for what amounts to a tactical delay.
Because the delay is merely temporary, right?
Yeah, the profound tragedy is that Bequin's sacrifice stuns the machine, but does not eradicate the threat.
The thing is still standing.
Exactly. And Eisenhorn has exhausted his conventional weaponry and his unorthodox biological weapon. So, facing total annihilation, he resorts to the ultimate taboo.
He summons Cherubel.
Yes.
Let's clearly define what he is unleashing here. Cherubel is a demon host.
And a demon host is the forcible binding of a warp entity. A demon made of pure, malevolent psychic energy into a biological human vessel.
Which is just as horrific as it sounds.
The mechanics of this are abhorrent. To use a kind of modern analogy, think of the human body as a closed-loop, fragile biological computer.
Okay.
Binding a demon is like injecting hyper-aggressive, sentient malware directly into the hardware.
Okay.
The demonic entity fundamentally rejects the physical constraints of reality. It aggressively mutates and burns out the host body, all while granting it terrifying reality-warping powers.
And Eisenhorn had secretly bound Cherubel in the previous novel, right?
Right, which marked his first definitive step into radicalism.
And the deployment of Cherubel works here. The demon annihilates the Titan.
But you cannot control sentient malware indefinitely.
Exactly. The moment the Titan falls, Cherubel snaps the metaphysical leash and turns on Eisenhorn.
The entity demands a new host body, or it will literally tear Eisenhorn apart.
And this creates the moral event horizon of the narrative, because Vervoek, the Puritan inquisitor who is shadowing Eisenhorn, has been mortally wounded in the crossfire.
He is actively dying on the ice.
So Eisenhorn, to survive Cherubel's wrath, completes a new binding ritual, forcing the demon into Vervoek's dying flesh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to defend Eisenhorn's pragmatism here for a second.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, look at the variables. Vervoek is bleeding out on the ice. His death is biologically assured within minutes, right?
Mathematically, yes.
The Titan might be down, but Thuring and the broader chaos threat remain. Eisenhorn believes, perhaps correctly, that his survival is structurally critical to the defense of the sector.
He certainly believes that.
So if you are on a sinking ship and there is a dying man clinging to the last piece of debris, pushing him under a few minutes early to secure the raft for someone who can actually navigate the survivors to shore.
Yeah.
It seems like brutal but necessary utilitarianism.
I see where you're going.
Like, is this truly an evil decision or just ruthless pragmatism? Why is this framed as an unforgivable sin?
Well, because utilitarianism breaks down when you factor in the metaphysics of the universe.
What do you mean?
In this setting, the soul is a tangible, quantifiable asset. Vervoek was dying, yes, but his soul would have passed into the warp naturally, protected by his faith.
Oh, I see.
Right. By binding Cherubel into Vervoek, Eisenhorn didn't just hasten his biological death, he subjected a loyal colleague's soul to eternal torment.
He merged it with a creature of pure malice.
Exactly. He violated the fundamental sanctity of the human spirit for a temporary tactical advantage. He crossed the line from executing enemies to consuming his allies. This is the definitive point of no return.
Wow. And the narrative does not let him linger on that rationalization either. Because he crossed that metaphysical line on Durer, the infrastructure of his life systematically collapses.
Oh, the universe immediately reacts.
We shift our focus to the planet Gudrun, Eisenhorn's base of operations. He returns expecting a sanctuary to regroup, and instead he walks into an impeccably coordinated slaughter.
The momentum shift is incredibly violent.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because Eisenhorn is no longer the hunter. He is the hunted.
Right. The apex predator of the Inquisition is instantly reduced to prey.
The assault on his estate is not just some random raid. It is a meticulously engineered decapitation strike against his entire organization.
And the logistics required to pull this off are staggering.
We aren't just talking about a firefight in a courtyard.
No, we are talking about the simultaneous destruction of decades of accumulated assets, safe houses, and personnel across an entire sector of space.
Which is mind-blowing.
A sector-wide strike requires a level of intelligence gathering, financial backing, and synchronized military execution that rivals the resources of the Inquisition itself.
So this wasn't an isolated ambush.
Not at all. It indicates an architect of immense power who has mapped every single node of Eisenhorn's network.
And the human cost is just devastating. The
Yeah.
retinue we have followed for novels is butchered.
Yeah, so many beloved characters.
The survivors are this fractured, traumatized remnant. We've got Medea Betancourt, the daughter of the man Eisenhorn was just avenging.
Right.
Uber Amos, his incredibly ancient, data-obsessed savant. And Lena Coy, a member of the Distaff.
And the Distaff warrants a bit of explanation for the listener.
Yeah, please do.
It is an organization entirely composed of blanks, like Bequin. Eisenhorn cultivated this network of untouchables to serve as a private army against psychic threats.
Gotcha.
So Alina Koi's survival provides them a marginal sliver of defense, but they are entirely on the defensive now.
They are reduced to hijacking civilian transports, taking mercenaries prisoner for leverage, and just blindly running.
Total desperation.
And as Amos processes the data of the ambush, Eisenhorn realizes the net is closing. So, to break the pursuit, he is forced to weaponize the warp yet again.
Right, he unleashes a warp vortex.
Which is a localized tear in reality that violently sucks matter into the psychic dimension. He uses it to annihilate one of the key operatives hunting him, a woman named Marla Touré.
And Marla Touré's identity is the critical data point that unlocks the conspiracy.
This is a huge reveal.
It is. She is the daughter of Pontius Glaw.
Right.
And for you, the learner, Pontius Glaw is a specter from Eisenhorn's earliest days. He was a phenomenally wealthy, thoroughly corrupt heretic whose family Eisenhorn dismantled in the first book, Xenos.
So the involvement of Glaw's lineage indicates this is not some random ideological purge.
No, this is deeply, specifically personal.
But, you know, while the physical dismantling of his network is brutal, the psychological breaking of his fellowship is what truly isolates him.
Oh, absolutely.
The emotional core of this section centers entirely on Godwin Fishik.
Fishing is an Adeptus Arbites, which is a high-ranking enforcer of the Lex Imperialis, the brutal, uncompromising law of the Imperium.
He is not a man of gray areas.
Not at all. He has served as Eisenhorn's physical protector and moral anchor since the very beginning, and he operates under the absolute belief in Eisenhorn's puritanical righteousness.
And on Gudrun, the curtain finally falls. Fishik uncovers the truth.
He finds out about everything.
He learns about Cherubel. He learns what Eisenhorn did to Vervoek on the ice.
Yeah.
We have to consider the ontological crisis this triggers in an Arbites. It isn't just that his friend made a bad call.
Right, it's much deeper.
It's the realization that the man who defines his entire moral universe has secretly been wielding the very corruption they have spent their lives burning out of the galaxy.
And Fischig's reaction is not just anger. It is profound, unvarnished revulsion.
He is disgusted.
He perceives Eisenhorn as an aberration. The ideological fracture is absolute.
I really want you, the listener, to genuinely visualize that specific type of isolation.
It's terrifying.
Imagine you make a choice that damns your soul, but you do it genuinely believing you are saving the people behind you.
Right.
You turn around to seek validation or even just understanding from your closest friend, and they look at you as if you are the monster.
Fischig doesn't fight him. He simply turns his back and abandons Eisenhorn in total disgust. And the author constructs a masterful trap for the reader right here.
How so?
Because we possess the internal context, right? We sat in Eisenhorn's mind as he weighed the impossible arithmetic on Durer.
Yeah, we felt the pressure.
We understand the sheer crushing weight of the necessity. Yet, we are meant to simultaneously recognize that Fischig is objectively correct.
Wow.
Eisenhorn's actions are indefensible under the laws they both swore to uphold. The consequence of radicalism is the alienation of the righteous. Eisenhorn is left with a team composed entirely of people too dependent, too broken, or too pragmatic to judge him.
So stripped of his puritanical support system, his assets rendered to ash, and his moral compass shattered by Fischig's departure, Eisenhorn is forced to seek out alliances in the shadows.
He has no other choice.
He needs an intellect capable of unraveling a conspiracy that operates on this massive scale, which drives him to the planet Promoti, seeking Gideon Ravener.
And the dynamic between Eisenhorn and Ravener provides a fascinating mirror.
Yeah, give the listener the crucial backstory here.
Ravener is Eisenhorn's former interrogator, his protege, his student.
Right.
Ravener has since ascended to become a fully sanctioned, highly respected inquisitor in his own right. However, a catastrophic incident left Ravener physically obliterated.
A terrible tragedy.
Yes. He is permanently confined to a mechanized, life-sustaining force chair, but this physical limitation actually triggered a massive amplification of his innate psychic abilities.
So Eisenhorn goes to his students seeking the resources of the establishment, only to discover that Ravener, too, has drifted from the puritanical light.
He really has.
Ravener's been operating a shadow network, making secret pacts with the Eldari, which is this highly advanced, enigmatic alien race.
And this is a crucial distinction in the lore of radicalism. Eisenhorn has compromised himself by utilizing chaos, the primordial corrupting force of the warp.
Which is inherently evil.
Right. Ravener, on the other hand, has compromised himself by utilizing Xenos tech and alien alliances.
So wait, are those both equally bad in the eyes of the Imperium?
Both are technically high treason, yes, but they represent different philosophical approaches to survival. Ravener's methods allow him to maintain his sanity and his soul, utilizing the Eldari's profound mastery over foresight and divination.
So what does this all mean for Eisenhorn's current crisis?
Well, Ravener turns that amplified foresight toward the conspiracy-hunting Eisenhorn. He projects his consciousness forward along the timeline, searching for the architect and the endgame.
And the intelligence he returns with is staggering.
The revelation is chilling.
Ravener divines that there is simply no future beyond 6 months. The timeline just hits an opaque, apocalyptic wall.
Right, so the scale of the threat instantly shifts from a personal vendetta to an existential crisis.
And the architect capable of orchestrating a sector-wide purge and an impending temporal dead end is revealed to be Pontius Glaw.
A man who has been dead for decades.
Biologically dead, yes. But Glaw's intellect, his engrammatic consciousness, was preserved. We are dealing with a disembodied intellect that has spent decades accumulating wealth, marshaling resources, and orchestrating this labyrinthine revenge plot.
And he has recently managed to transfer his consciousness into an incredibly advanced, heavily armed mechanical body.
He is pure, corrupted intellect driving an immortal machine.
The sheer pettiness combined with infinite patience is terrifying.
It really is.
Yeah.
So the team traces Glaw's logistics trail to a planetary classification designated 5232X.
Its true name is Ghoul.
And the history of this planet explains the 6-month deadline Ravener foresaw.
Exactly. Ghoul is a demon world. Long before humanity achieved interstellar flight, this planet was the throne world of a sprawling, pre-human empire dedicated to the warp.
It is literally saturated in primal corruption.
Yes. Glaw is not there to hide. He is there to excavate the capital, specifically searching for the flagship of the ancient demon king Isserl.
Which is apocalyptic.
If a disembodied, hyper-intelligent heretic like Glaw gains access to the arcane, reality warping technology of a pre-human demon king, the resulting destruction easily accounts for the cessation of the future.
Right. So to assault a demon world and stop a mechanized genius, Eisenhorn requires intelligence he does not currently possess.
He is going in blind.
He has to cross the final boundaries of forbidden lore. He turns to his ancient savant Ubrimosai and tasks him with decoding the Malus Codicium.
And the Malus Codicium is an artifact of pure peril.
Yeah, explain this to the listener.
It is a grimoire of dark magic, demonology, and warp mechanics. In the context of this universe, dangerous information is not merely politically subversive, it is an ontological hazard.
Like, the words themselves are dangerous.
Exactly. The words on the pages of the Codicium are psychic imprints. The act of reading them alters the neurological architecture of the reader. It is mimetic corruption.
And Amos, a man whose entire existence is defined by the rigid categorization of pure data, volunteers to absorb this corrupted information to give Eisenhorn a tactical blueprint of Ghoul.
It's a tremendous sacrifice.
Amos sacrifices the structural integrity of his own mind, literally inviting madness, just to provide his master with the weapon of knowledge.
Which brings us to the most grotesque, tragic irony of the entire narrative.
Yeah, this is the darkest twist of the novel.
Armed with the knowledge of Ghoul, Eisenhorn recognizes he needs unparalleled physical force to breach the Demon King's tomb. He requires the daemon host Cherubel.
But Cherubel currently lacks a physical vessel.
Right. However, during a brutal skirmish with other inquisitors, who have been tasked with hunting Eisenhorn down for his heresy, a body is secured.
The body belongs to Godwin Fischig.
Yes. Let us examine the mechanics and the profound cruelty of this act.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Fischig was killed during the skirmish. Eisenhorn takes the corpse of the man who served as his moral anchor, the man who abandoned him precisely because he found the use of demon hosts to be an unforgivable abomination against nature.
And he uses it.
He uses the dark rituals gleaned from the Malus Codicium to violently bind Cherubel into Fischig's dead flesh.
Okay, I'm going to challenge the moral revulsion here again, just with the cold arithmetic of survival.
Let's hear it.
They are heading to a demon world to fight a mechanized heretic, trying to activate a ship that will literally end the future in 6 months.
True.
Eisenhorn has a dead body and a bound demon. From a purely tactical standpoint, utilizing a biological shell that is no longer using its faculties to house a weapon of mass destruction is the only logical play.
I mean, logically, sure.
If the universe ends in 6 months, preserving the sanctity of a corpse is an absurd luxury, isn't it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, tactical logic devoid of ethical boundaries is the exact definition of the corruption he is supposed to be fighting.
I guess that's fair.
By violating Fischig's corpse, Eisenhorn fundamentally disrespects the agency and the core beliefs of his most loyal friend.
He forces him to become what he hated most.
Exactly. He subjects Fischig's physical form to the exact agonizing mutation and demonic puppetry that Fischig dedicated his life to eradicating. It is an act of supreme arrogance.
Wow.
Eisenhorn has decided that his mission, his vision of survival, supersedes the autonomy, the theology, and the dignity of everyone around him. He has become the architect of his friend's ultimate desecration.
That is just bleak.
Mm.
But, armed with his corrupted knowledge and his desecrated friend, Eisenhorn descends onto the demon-haunted surface of Ghoul.
And the climax of the novel is a violent convergence of all these terrible compromises.
He finally corners Pontius Glaw within the subterranean ruins of the Demon King's tomb.
And Glaw's mechanical form is nearly impervious to conventional damage.
So Eisenhorn is forced to rely on strategy rather than brute force.
Right.
He utilizes the Malus Codicium, the very artifact that provided the knowledge to get him here, the book that broke Amos's mind, as a distraction. He sets the grimoire ablaze.
Which is just, the imagery is incredibly potent.
He sacrifices the wellspring of his radicalism to create a momentary blind spot.
Exactly. And as the book burns, Eisenhorn strikes with his force sword, Barbarizator.
He breaches the mechanical chassis and shatters the crystal containing Glaw's consciousness, ending the threat of the disembodied heretic permanently.
But neutralizing Glaw does not neutralize the latent threat of Ghoul.
No, the planet itself is a problem.
The sheer density of the warp taint, the unearthing of Israel's legacy, it presents an unacceptable risk to the galaxy.
So the Inquisition, arriving in orbit, deploys the ultimate sanction, Exterminatus.
And for the learner unfamiliar with the scale of Imperial warfare, Exterminatus is the complete, deliberate annihilation of a planet's biosphere.
It's total planetary death.
It is achieved through orbital bombardment, utilizing cyclonic torpedoes that ignite the atmosphere and fracture the planetary crust, or virus bombs that reduce all organic matter to sludge.
Ghoul is literally erased from the galactic map.
So the threat is neutralized, Glaw is dead, the Demon King's tomb is atomized. The future, presumably, extends past the 6-month deadline.
But as we evaluate the aftermath, as we look at Eisenhorn standing amidst the ashes of his victory, we are forced to audit the cost.
It is the absolute definition of a Pyrrhic victory.
Eisenhorn survives, but look at the ledger. B. Quinn is trapped in stasis.
Amos's mind is shattered by the codicium.
Fischig has been transmuted into the very nightmare he despised.
Eisenhorn's puritanical ideology is a burned-out husk.
He has been branded a traitor, a heretic by his own organization. He saved the sector, but he hollowed himself out to pay the toll.
He can never return to the light. He is forever the monster operating in the dark.
Yeah. Stepping out of the narrative for a moment and looking at the meta-context, the publication of Hereticus marked a significant evolution for the science fiction genre.
Specifically within the grimdark subgenre, yeah.
The critical reception was overwhelmingly focused on the emotional devastation Abnett achieved.
The praise for the pain was very real.
Readers praised the tight plotting and the agonizing exploration of loyalty. Abnett managed to make the loss of these characters we spent 3 novels with, feel physically painful.
It wasn't just shock value.
No, the tragedy felt earned, an inevitable mathematical result of the choices Eisenhorn made.
However, the structure of the finale drew prominent criticism regarding its pacing.
Right, the page count.
The novel sits around 320 pages. Many critics and readers felt that constraining a sender-wide conspiracy, the destruction of a decades-old network, and a confrontation on a mythological demon world into that page count resulted in a severely rushed climax.
It felt it was abrupt.
Yes, readers felt the final confrontation with Glaw, particularly the burning of the book, felt anticlimactic. Many argued the narrative required significant expansion, maybe another 100 pages, to let the consequences breathe.
Okay, I am going to vigorously push back on that and defend that abruptness.
You think it works?
I do. We are conditioned by cinematic storytelling to expect prolonged, highly choreographed duels where the villain monologues and the hero achieves catharsis.
Right, the big epic showdown.
But violence, especially desperate, chaotic violence on a corrupted alien world, isn't cinematic. It is fast, brutal, and ugly.
That's a great point.
Eisenhorn didn't win a duel of ideologies. He desperately stabbed a machine in the dark while burning a book. Does a rushed, abrupt ending actually mirror the chaotic, destructive reality of his choices? I mean, perhaps an unfulfilling, anticlimactic resolution perfectly mirrors the thematic reality of his journey.
Because there's no catharsis in becoming a monster.
Exactly. It should feel abrupt and awful. An unfulfilling climax is the point of a hollow victory.
This raises an important question about intent versus format. But whether the pacing was a deliberate thematic tool or a constraint of publishing logistics, it successfully cemented the structural shift of the entire trilogy.
Absolutely.
What began in Xenos as an action-packed, relatively straightforward investigative adventure morphed entirely into a dense, excellent tragic drama by the conclusion of Hereticus. It forced the reader to focus on the psychological toll rather than the kinetic action.
So let us synthesize this journey for you, the listener.
Yeah, let's bring it all together.
We started by examining a man whose identity was entirely defined by rigid purity, the ultimate enforcer of an unyielding law.
The Puritan in Xenos.
Over the course of this deep dive, we watched him step onto the ice on Juror, where he traded a colleague's soul for survival.
We watched the logistical annihilation of his life on Gudrun, culminating in the loss of his moral anchor, Fischig.
And we followed him into the subterranean horrors of Ghoul, where he violated his closest friend's corpse to secure the physical power needed to win.
We watched a man save the universe by methodically spending his own soul as the currency of victory.
It is a profoundly heavy narrative architecture.
It really is. And it leaves you with a lingering, deeply uncomfortable philosophical extrapolation.
Was that?
The text asserts that Eisenhorn's descent into radicalism, his embrace of forbidden lore, and his desecration of his friends were the mathematically necessary components to stop Pontius Glaw and protect the Imperium from annihilation.
He became the necessary monster.
Exactly. But if a civilization can only be preserved by individuals who must systematically damn themselves,
Oh, wow.
if the Guardians must betray everything they love and embrace the very evil they are fighting just to defend the borders, What is the true nature of the society being saved?
That is heavy.
Is a civilization protected by monsters still worth saving at all?
That is the exact paradox we established at the beginning. The weapon is forged from the monster's bones, and wielding it changes the shape of your own hands.
It always does.
That is the question you have to carry with you today. Is the cure just a different, more patient manifestation of the disease?
Something to really think about.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the murky, devastating mechanics of Hereticus. We hope you gained a new perspective on the architecture of tragedy. We hope you're questioning the costs of survival, and we will see you next time.